What's up YouTube, Gemini Johnny back again with another compilation of the wildest TikTok conspiracy theories I can find. You all like the first edition of this so much that I decided to make the conspiracy theories video a weekly thing, so you can expect these every Thursday in place of one of the creepy TikToks. But we'll be doing those on Tuesday as well, so be sure and catch that. Then we got Sunday Scaries, just started up. I'm gonna keep that going, I like that format. And last but not least, Member Mondays. Yeah, all my videos are alliterations. Alliteration? Am I using that right? I think I'm using that right. Member Mondays, where I'll probably mostly be doing an extra creepy TikTok video for members only, but I might switch that one up too every once in a while and do a different style on that, so you never know. And I'm gonna live stream at some point in the next couple weeks. I don't know, so be on the lookout for that whenever I have a day off. So subscribe, turn the notification bell on, come hang out and talk to me in the chat for the premieres. I'm always in there, or I always try to be, and we have a good time. Alright, I'm gonna stop rambling. I've been talking for 3 minutes. I guess we should get to what you're all here for. Without further ado, let's jump right in.
Here comes the truth about the moon landings.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Certainly.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin has had a handful of weird things in different interviews. I'm not sure what that one was about. That could be edited together to make it look like that. Not actually too sure. But I have seen a handful of interviews where he says some things that are rather cryptic. And there's that one time that he was standing behind Trump while Trump was talking about space travel, and he was making all kinds of goofy faces. Weird stuff. I don't know, man. We talked about this in the last conspiracy video, which if you missed, I'll put a link right up there. You can watch it after this one. Or you can click the link in the description below. I'll put it down there, if I remember. One-man team here, people. But yeah, I don't know which way I lean on the moon landing. It does seem weird that we just stopped going. We made it there once, and we were like, we have the technology. We're good. And it seems like we're gonna go back soon. Definitely seems like SpaceX and Elon doing their thing. You know, whatever your opinion on Elon is, SpaceX is pretty cool. And there's a lot of people that are really intelligent and doing some really cool things at SpaceX that aren't Elon Musk. I don't know, I just see a lot of Elon Musk haters that like wish his businesses fail. And I don't wish that at all. I think he's got some cool businesses and I hope they all do well. Yeah, it kind of sucks that he's, you know, 50-year-old man that wants to be a meme lord on Twitter as opposed to just running those awesome companies. But like I said, there's a lot of great people that work at those companies that don't deserve to fail. And if they succeed, it's going to be better for society, I think. Rounding that back to SpaceX, I think they're doing some cool stuff, and I think they'll get us back to the moon in the next decade. So that's cool. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I had a teacher once, and he used to ask us if we were going to do okay on the next quiz, if we've been studying. And we'd all say, yeah, of course, we've been studying like crazy. He would always say, we'll see. We'll see.
You guys need to watch this video of Cat Williams talking about Kevin Hurt.
At the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next. Okay. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Yeah, man, Cat Williams has been all over the news lately with that Shannon Sharp interview he did. It was interesting stuff, man. I feel like he's been speaking in code for years and years. Whether there's any validity to the code that he's speaking or the truth that's in the code that he's speaking, you know, it's up for interpretation. I do feel like people, you know, successful people, they get to be in the room where it happens, you know? Shout out to you if you caught that Hamilton reference. But, you know, they do get access to places and places where other successful people will let their guard down. And look, you know, I'm not going to go into details, but I've had very limited access to certain places like that, behind closed doors with very powerful and very influential people, and they're just like everybody else, bro. Just like everybody else. Like I said, I'm not going into details, but they're just like everybody else, but with a lot of money, and they know they can get away with doing it. So they're pretty open about doing it, you know, to a certain extent, once those doors are closed. I'm gonna stop talking about this now. I'm gonna stop talking about this now before I dig myself in a hole I can't get out of.
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously ruin your life. This list shows all the conspiracy theories from the most normal ones we all know to the darkest of the dark that will change the way you literally see the world. And of course in this series we're going to be going from the top all the way down to the bottom. Come back, let's go for part 2. The Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. So we all know about the Titanic, of course, the really famous ship that sunk, and it's commonly believed that it hit an iceberg, but this might change your mind. This is mental. There was, of course, survivors of the Titanic, and a lot of them were interviewed. Not one of them mentioned anything about an iceberg. What's crazier is a few people did say that there was a fire. Interesting. Now go and look at this. Before the ship even set sail, you can see a burn area in the photo. And it's actually the engine and boiler room right there. And if there was a fire in there, that's not ideal. Now, there's a couple of theories I'm going to talk about. But the first one was that it never even hit an iceberg at all. But it was actually an inside job done by people such as the Rothschild family, which I will make a video on later in the series. Main theory that is very believable has something to do with this burn mark. Now, the theory is there was a fire on the Titanic before it even set off, and this fire weakened the hull of the boat. Maybe there was an iceberg, but not as big as it's made out to be. Did hit this iceberg, and if there wasn't a fire, it would have been completely fine. Everyone would have just not even realised. But due to the hull and the ship already being weakened from the fire, that's what made it sink. I mean, that's a very believable theory. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.
Yeah, hit that follow button if you didn't earlier when I asked you to, because I know some of you forgot. Appreciate it. Yeah, me personally, I would put more stock into the idea that J.P. Morgan had something to do with it than the Rothschilds. Is that who he said? Did he say the Rothschilds? I don't know. Whatever famous family he accused. Always getting accused. And J.P. Morgan, for some reason, never gets accused. J.P. Morgan was behind so much stuff, man. And look, allegedly, don't come suing me. J.P. Morgan estate or trust or whatever. It's allegedly, but he was an evil dude. Evil corporatist.
World's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture contains a list of conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Welcome to Tier 9. Today we're going to be talking about the strange berry picker disappearances. God, that's a mouthful to say. In 2011, a man named David wrote a book called Missing 411. The book covers all of the most unsolved cases of people going missing in national parks. Some people would just wander off the trail, some would fall into the river, and some people didn't even know they were missing. Do you want to know what all of these people had in common right before they went missing? They were all picking berries. Stay with me, it's about to get crazy. One case is 6-year-old Lillian Carney, and in 1897, she went missing right after she was picking berries. According to her parents, she was here for 1 second and gone the next, almost like she just vanished. They notified the police, and around midnight, which was 12 hours later, they found her miles away from where she originally was, and they found her in a dazed trance. It gets even weirder. Police then start to question her on how she went missing, thinking maybe the parents had something to do with it. The little girl didn't even remember walking, which is crazy because she was miles away from where she originally was at. On top of that, she said the sun shined all the time, which would be impossible because it was midnight. Now, this didn't happen just once, but this has happened over 50 times. So are these people just mysteriously going missing in the woods? Or is there something darker here that we don't know about?
I just have one question. What kind of berries are those?
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously change your life. Part 11. Today we are talking about time loops. This is mental and very, very confusing. So you've seen films such as Groundhog Day, Palm Springs, or Dark or anything. You can kind of get the gist of this, where people are kind of stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day again and again and again. Like things like Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, all of that kind of stuff. What if this actually exists in real life? The theory is maybe there are some kind of wormholey weird places on Earth that connect interdimensionally with parallel universe. Told you it was confusing, didn't I? Now, if you don't know, parallel universes, a universe is the same as ours, where things play out differently. But maybe there are actual things like this out there. So kind of think of it as if like a black hole, but on Earth. And maybe when you enter this, it kind of freezes time, so you're just stuck on your own. Almost like in your own bubble, just going through the same day again and again and again. I mean, it's mental and a crazy theory, but I mean, if you think about certain explanations for it, it kind of could be possible.
So I've got a handful of like my own conspiracy theories or my own twists on conspiracy theories. And then, you know, I mean, obviously, we don't know which ones of these are fully right or fully wrong. It doesn't really matter. But one of my conspiracy theories that I think is kind of original, I don't know, some other people might have said it before, but I believe that most, if not all, stories, movies, and that kind of stuff is based on some nugget of truth. So like the movies like Groundhog Day and Palm Springs and I don't know what the other one was, but like I think when you see recurring stories like that, recurring motifs in books and films and stuff, I think it's because, you know, the more likely reason is because the more grounded in reality reason would be because that these stories resonate with people and it's a story that you can easily repackage and retell and make more money off of without doing as much work. But I think especially when it comes to like our classical stories, like our classical myths and heroes and all that stuff, I think they all come from some nugget of truth. They were probably telephoned down through generations and we have them as they are now, but I think a lot of them are probably a little bit true. So that's one of my fun conspiracy theories. I'm sure we'll get into more of my dumb beliefs. I know they're not dumb. I'm just making jokes.
The childhood conspiracy theory iceberg. This picture represents conspiracy theories that will change your childhood forever. As always, make sure to join the Discord for the full list. This is tier 1. Mrs. Puff is a psychopath. We've all seen SpongeBob and we've all seen Mrs. Puff before. On the episode titled No Free Rides in season 2, Mrs. Puff says this.
What have I done? Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new name. No. Not again.
This is hinting that Mrs. Puff has changed her identity before, and I promise this gets worse. In season 12, episode 21, SpongeBob is helping her organize some of her junk, and he comes across a newspaper that says, deranged boat teacher makes getaway. So the real question remains, who is Mrs. Puff?
Well, that's fun.
I'm going to show you possibly the biggest lie in history, at least if a lie could be measured by money. And that is because it is a lie 2 specific companies would love you to believe. Unfortunately, many say there may be nothing we can do to fix this lie. And the lie is that there is a world's richest person. Currently, this richest person is Elon Musk. And I'll show you why some of the darkest organizations want you to believe this. According to Forbes, people like Elon and Jeff Bezos are the world's richest people, but they can only list people whose assets are visible or public knowledge. Try as you might, there are people and organizations with assets so secret it is impossible to calculate their wealth. And since wealth is unfortunately power, this is a problem. For example, there is no way to know the worth of Vladimir Putin or the Saudi family. People can give estimates like saying they're worth $1.4 trillion, but this is nothing more than a guess. Knowing that assets can be hidden leads us to these 2 organizations, BlackRock and Vanguard. And there is good reason many people say these companies run the world. And the strange part is that both of these companies are the biggest investor of the other. For many, this is a massive warning sign, especially since they own a huge stake in all the major news networks. This includes Fox and CNN. And on a side note, they would seem to profit from the rhetoric that keeps us divided, along with having major sway in what the networks can say. Big Pharma? Vanguard owns huge shares in Pfizer. Oil and gas? They hold Shell, even Microsoft. And the scariest part is that they hold majority voting power in many of their investments. So who is the owner of them? They are so heavily invested in each other, it's strange to call them 2 companies. A quick Google search and a legal probe will show you that nobody actually knows who owns them. And because the organization is private, nobody knows who is a member of the company, though Vanguard has said that BlackRock has a unique company structure, which doesn't sound sketchy at all. There is one very public figure, however, and this is Larry Fink. He loves working at deep levels in the government and has no political affiliation because he will go wherever the money flows. He tried being the secretary for Hillary Clinton and was brought on as an advisor for Trump. He plays both sides. We saw this as he tried for the position of secretary for the Biden administration. So with all this mystery around the BlackRock Vanguard group, who is the richest person? If we go back in history, we can see that the Rothschild family is one of BlackRock and Vanguard's biggest holders. And conspiracy theorists have had a heyday with the stories of this family over decades. Other shareholders include the Bush family and even the royal family of England. So though we may know the families tied to these organizations, we may never know who runs them. And these shady individuals clearly have a reason they want to keep it that way.
These are the things they really don't want you to know. They don't want you questioning who owns Vanguard and BlackRock. Forget Illuminati, forget the Freemasons, forget, I don't know what, the Jesuits, forget the Skull and Bones, forget the Bohemian Club, forget the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light, forget the Priory of Sion, forget the Knights Templar. Alright, I'm done. BlackRock and Vanguard, that's who runs the world, right there. She just said it all in that, I don't even know how long that video was, but 2-minute video. She just laid it all out on the table for you. Nice and easy. Yeah, not that there's anything that can be done. It's not like you'd know this now, and like, I don't know, maybe don't invest in those companies unless you want to be associated, you know, and be implicit in all the crap that they do. I will never invest in those companies, I can tell you that right now. But yeah, there's not, I mean, that's the biggest thing with these conspiracies. I love conspiracy theories. It's one of my favorite things, one of my favorite topics. But if you let yourself fall too deep down the rabbit hole, it's just not good for you, and there's nothing you can do. If you do find the answers, you think they're going to let you be the one to tell the world about them? Not gonna happen. You think if I don't unveil some deep conspiracy on this channel that I won't have FBI knocking on my door tomorrow? They're gonna want to know how I got that information. This is for entertainment purposes only. Let's not forget that. I would like to find the truth, and we will uncover the truth. But don't get me wrong, I'll talk to the FBI. I already know I can pass a background check. I had to do that for my last job, so I'm good.
Here's a true story from Antarctica that has me asking a lot of questions. A naval flight engineer tells the story of his experience in McMurdo Station, Antarctica, around 1995. They fly this huge plane around the continent and do assignments like drop people off, pick people up, stuff like that. Whenever they would fly toward the pole, they would always get to the same spot called Beardmore Glacier. In this area and throughout the continent, it's so common to see flying circular craft flying up and down and in pairs all around them. During lunchtime, they would all have discussions about this, and one thing they all noticed was that these craft would never fly through the no-fly zone near Beardmore Glacier. They thought there was some sort of barrier or territorial agreement that they couldn't go there. One day there was a medical accident on the other side of the continent, and this crew realized that it would take them 6 hours to get to this man. The captain knew that flying through this no-fly zone would actually be faster than going around, so he asked why they couldn't fly through the zone. And the answer they got was that it was an air monitoring station. They concluded that they're high enough and that they wouldn't contaminate the air, so they decided to fly through this no-fly zone. So they're flying and they're all looking down. They look and they notice that there's this huge hole in the ice that was probably the size of a football field. It led deep under the ice. Of course, they were all mystified and they all had so much questions on what this hole was. They pick up this guy and they head straight back to McMurdo Station. As soon as they land, they're met with the guy in an all-black suit. Remember, this is Antarctica, so this must have been really important. The crew was told by this man, what you saw at pole, you did not see. You do not talk about this because you never saw it. After much rumors, they realized what this thing could really have been. It is said that extraterrestrials and the government are working together within this hole as some sort of collaboration. Yo, we all know we've heard all the conspiracy theories talk about this Agartha theory and all this stuff, but after what this government guy said, I'm really starting to think about it. Whistleblowers have reported this stuff so many times. Let me know what you guys think, because there are so many possibilities on what this thing could be. I don't doubt this story at all, especially since so many soldiers report this.
There's definitely some weird stuff going on down there. Like I've said many times before, I'm gonna go there someday with really good cameras and a really good film crew, and we'll get some. We're gonna find out what's what. I do think that like a giant hole is much more theoretically possible than the Earth being flat and there's just a giant ice wall out there. I think it's much more likely that there's just a hole that they don't want you to see, and that's why it's all secretive down there. But regardless, some weird stuff going on down there, man. I think you have to have government permission to go there. I could be wrong. I don't know. Let's find out. That's what this video is all about. Let's see. Can you go to Antarctica? One of the top. First of all, yes, you can visit Antarctica. Okay, well, the first answer on Google says that you can go to Antarctica, so that was a lie. But, you know, there's definitely some secretive stuff going on down there. I know they've got a lot of military bases down there. I forget who it was, but there was a guy who said that World War III wouldn't happen until the Antarctica Treaty is broken. The main points of the Antarctica Treaty. 1. No military use. 2. Freedom of scientific investigation. 3. Free exchange of scientific plans and data. 4. Any territorial claims put on hold. Nobody can claim territory there. 5. Nuclear-free zone. No nukes. So that should be everywhere. 6. Applies to land, but not seas. Interesting. They put that in there. 7. All stations open to inspection by other nations. That's probably good. 8. National laws apply to citizens, not to areas. 9. The treaty may be modified at any time. Requires unanimous agreement of treaty nations. So that's also interesting. 10. All treaty nations to ensure no one carries out acts against the treaty. So, you know, as long as no nation violates that, then we'll never have World War III, allegedly. There you have it, folks. That is another conspiracy TikTok video in the books. We did it. We done it. We're doing it some more. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, give it a like. Be sure and subscribe before you take off. Remember the whole 70% of people not subscribing thing? I'm trying to lower that a little bit, so I appreciate it. If you enjoy this style of content, you can check out my creepy TikToks reactions in my TikToktober series playlist, or my 25 Days of Creepy playlist, or just any of my old videos. You know how the YouTube works. I post every Monday for members only, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, so I'll see you one of those days. And until then, seek the truth. Still feels weird, but, you know, seek the truth.